A federal high court sitting in Kano has fixed June 13th for ruling on the issue of jurisdiction in the case of Kano Emirate tussle. The court, presided over by Justice Abdullahi Muhammadu Liman, adjourned the sitting following the heated arguments between counsels. One Aminu Baba Danagudi, Sakin Dawaki Ababa of the Kano Emirate, had approached the court asking it to restrain respondents from enforcing, implementing and operationalizing the repealed law. The respondents in the suit are Kano State Government, Kano State House Assembly, Speaker, Kano State House Assembly, Attorney General of Kano State Commissioner of Police, IGP, NSCDC, and the DSS. At a resumed hearing on Thursday, counsel to the applicant, Ms. Waziri, filed a written address dated June 6, stating that the applicant, as a member of Kano Emirates Kingmakers, ought to have been involved in the reinstatement of the new emir. The judge adjourned the case to June 13 for ruling on jurisdiction. Let's now join our correspondent, Emmanuel Bagudu, for more on this. Emmanuel, good evening. Glad to have you join me. What was the burning issue at the court today concerning the Emirates tussle?
Yeah, the bone of contention is not different from the initial purported document signed by Justice Liman, which actually stated that everyone should maintain the status quo and Aminu Ado Bayero should continue to remain the Emir of Kano pending the ruling of the Federal High Court. Now, the hearing continues today, and we see the cases in all its merits. And, of course, Mr. Aminu Baba was the one that actually started the suit, where he says that, of course, the Federal High Court has the jurisdiction to listen to the matter, and that the operationalization of the repeal law should be stopped. Now, the argument there is whether or the council to Sanusi or the council to the Kano State government are actually arguing for the jurisdiction. But it's very, very clear there that the only person that is actually seeking for the jurisdiction of the court is the person of Baba Aminu. So it is a question of if the Federal High Court by next week actually rule that it has a jurisdiction over the case, then of course the demands of Aminu Baba will be met. But if it doesn't happen that way, of course, Sanusi continues to be the emir.
Now, looking ahead, Emmanuel, what should be expected on June 13th after the ruling?
Okay, what should be expected after the ruling on June 13 is the fact that whether or not the Federal High Court will actually ask the Kano State government to obey the new repeal law or to set aside the repeal law. That is what is going to happen on that day, because it is a question of jurisdiction, and the idea of the issue of squashing the new law has been argued today by, of course, the respondent, that's counsel to the state government, and of course the counsel to the remaining respondents. So what will happen on Thursday next week, which is June 13, is the fact that the court will actually, the Federal High Court will actually free itself. It's going to make its position known whether it actually has a jurisdiction to listen to the case or not. And if that happens, it will be either it will showcase the judgment made by the State High Court, which is that from Amina Liman. It will actually validate it or discredit it. That's going to happen. That's what's going to happen that day. And of course, we know that Justice Amina Liman actually authenticated Mohammed Sanusi II as the authentic emir, since his emergence was as a result of a new legislation by the Kano State House of Assembly.
Seems we lost connection with Emmanuel. Emmanuel Bagudu, are you there?
I'm there. I can hear you clearly.
Yes, I lost you for a moment there. You were talking to me about what you expect, or what I expected following the ruling come June 13th.
Yes, what should be expected is the fact that whether the Federal High Court in Kano has the jurisdiction to listen to the matter or not. And if it does, of course, the matter will continue, and then it is assumed that the status quo is being maintained. So it is going to decide on the Thursday next week, June 13, whether it has jurisdiction. If it has jurisdiction, it simply means that the initial pronouncement it made that status quo should be maintained simply means that Aminu Ado Bayero remains the emir until the court decides.
Well, Thank you so much, Emmanuel Bagudu. Well, fingers crossed. We'll have to wait and find out how things pan out come June 13th. Thank you once again, our correspondents right there live in Abuja.
Thank you very much.
The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has submitted the projected cost implication of implementing a new national minimum wage to President Bola Tinubu. Edun, along with the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Atiku Bagudu, presented President Tinubu with the cost implications of the new minimum wage in his office at the presidential villa in Abuja on Thursday. Speaking with the State House correspondent after meeting with the president, Edun verified the submission and reassured that there is no cause for alarm. Edun's submission of the cost application follows a 48-hour ultimatum issued to him by President Tinubu on Tuesday. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Judge Akume, has asked members of the organized labor to be more circumspect in their demands over national minimum wage and the restoration of old electricity tariff. Addressing the National Executive Council of the Christian Association of Nigeria in Abuja, Akume said the shutdown of the national grid by members of the Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress, TUC, amounted to treasonable felony. The SGF, who reaffirmed the commitment of President Bola Tinubu to improve the welfare of Nigerians, lamented the loss of revenue by the federal government due to the action of the organized labor. And now to election matters. Women in politics in Adamawa State have indicated their resolve to strategically hoist themselves to participate in local government polls ahead of the forthcoming local government election in the state. The women said they are poised to conquer the political landscape through advocate, diplomacy, good relationships and good conduct to win the hearts of stakeholders and members of their community. Making the call on behalf of Adamawa women in politics, leader of the women, Zainab Saidu, said women are rightly suited to occupy high and sensitive political offices because of their sensitivity towards the right of every member of the society.
Women in politics in Adamawa State, we are advocating for His Excellency, all government officials, and our only Deputy Governor, Professor Khalid Faraucha, for the positions of chairman as the election is fast approaching. If you cannot get the position of chairman, why don't you get the position of vice chairman? Yeah. For them to come out, because politics is all about strategies, diplomacy, the good relationship, good conduct, which we all have here as mothers. We are encouraging the women to come out and vie for various positions, which I'm sure the governor will give them. His doors is open, and he doesn't prevent anybody from voting. So the women will have all the leverage, we all have the opportunity, we have all the chances, we are happy, we have security, we have everything in Adamawa State.
A lot of significance, because we need to understand that women don't participate or they are being marginalized. So as a result of this, we wrote a project with the IFES, that is International Foundation for Electoral System, which they have granted us. And now we are starting with the stakeholders, where we have organized, where we have invited all the women leaders in various local governments in Adamawa State, with the intention or with the view to ensure that women participated in the forthcoming local government election and even the general election as well.
Electoral stakeholders in Nigeria have called for far-reaching reforms in the nation's electoral process to improve credibility of future polls. And this was during the session organized by the Electoral Hub in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, where stakeholders made far-reaching recommendations to improve the nation's electoral process. Our correspondent, Amadine Uyi, tells us more.
Despite already spending 25 years of uninterrupted democracy, political experts say Nigerians are still ignorant of the political process and the results collation process after elections.
People do not, there are so many politicians and political parties who do not even know that for you to be declared as a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that you must call majority of lawful votes cast and also get the geographical spread. And that if nobody gets that geographical spread, another election will be conducted with the same threshold. So I think that there's lack of knowledge in terms of some of the things we do.
At this session organized by the Electoral Hub in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, political stakeholders in Nigeria say there is still so much to be achieved to grow the nation's democracy. The Inter-Party Advisory Council, a coalition of several political parties in the country, say Nigerians must be encouraged to participate in the process. They also used the opportunity to advocate for local government autonomy.
Citizens should be encouraged to actively participate in grassroots politics that guarantees free, fair, and credible local government elections. It is in view of this that IPAC also demands for local government autonomy. INEC must be strengthened to discharge its statutory duties and be truly independent to conduct credible elections.
Other stakeholders present gave far-reaching recommendations to officials of Nigeria's electoral body present, saying the nation's political process is in dire need of reforms at all levels.
We must provide exemplary, transparent, and credible leadership in political party administration and call elected public officers to order if they deviate from the manifesto of their respective party. It is time to sanitize our political process.
Internal party democracy has been the bane of our democracy because it is for sure that our political parties have not gotten it right, and we continue to have inter-party squabbles within our political parties, most especially within the forefront political parties.
The Electoral Hub also unveiled a book on election management in the country aimed at deepening Nigeria's electoral process. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
Peaceful coexistence has been described as the panacea for a successful farming season, especially in violence-prone communities in Nigeria. And this was a thought of the General Officer commanding 3 Armored Division and Commander, Operation Safe Haven, the Major General Abdulsalam Abubakar, during his remarks to declare open a one-day security summit for farmers and herders in Plateau, Kaduna, and Bauchi states. Our correspondent Chizoba Anyanwe was there and now reports.
This is the start of rainy season in many parts of Nigeria. It is the season where farmers return to work for improved farm yields, which in turn brings about food security in Nigeria. Herders on their part cannot wait for the rain to fully set in for their cattle to graze on. However, these stakeholders are here to brainstorm on farm destruction, cow poisoning, underaged grazing, cattle rustling, among other problems associated with the farming season. These are the reasons the GOC 3 Division and Commander Operation Safe Haven brought both farmers and herders together to have a more secure outing this year.
We must thus embrace dialogue over violence, forgiveness over vengeance, and cooperation over division. In this way, we can together build a peaceful future for our communities where each and every one of us can live and thrive in harmony and enhanced security.
For these religious leaders, who were among the resource persons, the practice of civilization and true nationalism remained key if these farmers would be safe while in their domains.
Civilization is the act of living together peacefully in a life group. So if you are not living in peace, then you are not civilized. Operation Safe Haven, in addition to all the wonderful work they are doing in safeguarding communities, and also from time to time provide some basic security training to communities.
Government is always looked up to for solace and support, without which security and development will never thrive.
We must stay as a people and agree on whatever, solution that will help us in our various communities locally, and by so doing, then we will have a very, very peaceful farming season.
Better synergy between political leaders, traditional institutions, and the security agencies, which the GOC and the commander of Operation Safe Haven has exemplified so eloquently by holding this seminar.
With the hope this summit brings, one would expect that clashes between these farmers and herders from Plateau, Kaduna, and Bauchi states will cease to be recorded this year and beyond. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyowe.
And let's leave Nigeria for a moment to cross to South Africa, where we have our correspondent, Bongani Sisiba, to give us updates on the politics in South Africa. Bongani, glad to have you join me.
Good evening, and good evening to our viewers.
Just give us an update of politics in South Africa, where you are.
Yes, I'm still at the Beachwood Hotel. We've been here since 7 a.m. in the morning. We are still waiting for the NEC meeting to finish, where the ANC members, the NEC members are deliberating on the way forward. As of now, what I can say is that the ANC is between the rock and the hard place, because the government has to be constituted within 14 days just after the elections, but now they have not come to a conclusion on who they are going to have that coalition government with. Either it's going to be a coalition government or a government of unity. As you can see behind those closed doors, behind those closed walls, that's where the meeting has been happening since morning. And what I can tell you is that the ANC as of now is divided. Some want to go with the Democratic Alliance, and the others also want to go with EFF and IFP and also PA. But there is also MK that the citizens, most of the citizens in the KZN voted for. But the ANC Secretary General in the morning told the media that they have tried all means to communicate with the MK to come to the table so that they can discuss this. But the MK has blue-ticked them. By blue-ticking them is that former President Zuma is nowhere to be found, is not coming to the table. So the ANC has already spoken to other political parties, but now what they are doing is deliberating on which way to take, because the citizens, they have come out on the social medias, on the streets. They do not want a coalition between ANC and the Democratic Alliance, most of them saying that it's taking South Africans back to the apartheid era. And also looking at that, the ideologies of ANC and Democratic Alliance are not the same. So they would prefer that ANC goes into a marriage with maybe EFF or IFP or PA.
Thank you so much, Bongani Sisiba, our correspondent right there live in South Africa. And now back to news in Nigeria. The cost of living crisis and the cost of living in Nigeria has surged dramatically over the past few weeks. Inflation fueled by various factors, including fluctuating oil prices, currency devaluation, and supply chain disruptions, has hit essential goods and services hard. Our correspondent, Bettina Unwili, reports.
Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation, is a land of vibrant markets, rich culture, and immense natural resources. Yet, beneath this lively facade, millions of Nigerians grapple with the harsh reality of a rising cost of living.
You come to the market just like the way you saw me pricing things. You no longer get them the same way we used to buy again. Even them themselves, they keep complaining. They buy very cost. That's how you manage for that month. Nothing like savings again, no. You only pray for that money to even reach you that month before another salary will come.
You can imagine the sales of some items, the cost of some items as at 2 weeks ago has increased with like 50% increase. We experience that increase almost every day. For we workers to be able to save is affecting the savings. It's affecting because the income is not really increasing, but the prices of items are increased. So it makes it so difficult for us to cope with the economy.
For many Nigerian families, the cost of daily necessities like food, housing, and transportation has become nearly unmanageable. The prices of staples such as rice, beans, and bread have more than doubled in recent years.
There's a time lag between policies, the effect of policies in controlling macroeconomic indicators. But if we look at the month-on-month prices, you see that inflation declined from about 3% in March to about 2.3% in April. So essentially, we have seen that the policies have started taking effect, but there's need for more articulations. There is need for coordination between the fiscal and the monetary authorities.
Nigeria's journey to addressing its cost of living crisis is complex and multifaceted. While the road ahead is challenging, the resilience and determination of its people remain unwavering. Nigerians look forward to economic recovery plans with strategic policies, believing that democracy should not only be by the people and of the people, but equally for the people to enjoy its dividends. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
In commemoration of World Environment Day, health and environmental experts have highlighted the impact of environmental degradation as it continues to hit deep in Nigeria, raising fears of possible disease outbreak. Cases like malaria outbreaks and non-respiratory and cardiovascular diseases are considered factors born from environmental changes. Adeshewa Odushoga tells us more in these reports.
There is a complex relationship between the environment and human health, one that remains undeniable. While the environment provides essential resources for sustenance and growth, it poses significant threats to human health. Environmental factors can negatively impact human health, including air and water pollution, climate change, toxic chemical exposure, biodiversity loss, noise pollution, an unsafe built environment. Environmental experts are advocating for the promotion of cleaner energies as toxic chemical exposure poses a great risk of heart disease.
We have a lot of non-communicable respiratory cardiovascular diseases right now, which is traceable to air pollution. So we call it household air pollution. So switching to a fuel like biofuel, which is renewable, is going to help us reduce the casualties on these health issues, at the same time protecting our environment from carbon emission.
Additionally, it has long been anticipated that climate change may affect the habitat ranges of insects like mosquitoes, which could contribute to the spread of fatal infectious diseases and possibly intensify the malaria epidemic in Nigeria and throughout Africa.
We have to increase testing services. That's where the malaria rapid diagnostic kits come in. They have been able to be circulated through rural communities and how to reach communities. We also have to, there is no particular method. It's a complex of activities and initiatives that have to come together if we have to achieve this goal.
Heavy rains allows for more breeding of mosquitoes, prolonged breeding. You know, Nigeria is endemic for malaria. We have it all year round.
There is an urgent need to implement comprehensive strategies for environmental stewardship and public health to protect human health and advance environmental sustainability for current and future generations. Cooperation between government, communities, businesses, and civil society is essential. In Lagos, for News Central, Adeshewa Odushoga.
Thank you for staying with us. The news continues in West Africa, where Reporters Without Borders on Thursday called on Senegal's new president to take action to promote press freedom after 3 years of arrests and violence against journalists. The watchdog known as RSF said the arrival of the new government offers an opportunity to heal the wounded face of the media in Senegal. President Bassirou Diomaye Faye swept the April elections on an anti-establishment ticket after 3 years of crisis. The French NGOs said during the period, the conditions of working as a journalist progressively worsened in the country, long considered a bastion of press freedom in Africa. During that time, Senegal slipped from 49th to 94th place on RSF's World Press Freedom Index. At least 4 people were killed in a fire at a popular market in the Moroccan city of Fez's UNESCO-listed Old City. The blaze, which broke out on Wednesday evening, also injured 26 people and caused significant material damage to nearly 25 shops. 10 of the injured suffered burns, with 3 in critical condition. Initial investigations suggest a short circuit sparked the fire. Versus Walled City, spanning 280 hectares, is a popular tourist destination renowned for being one of the best preserved in the Arab-Muslim world. Israeli government spokesperson David Mensa has announced that the military executed a precise strike on a Hamas compound located within the United Nations Relief and Works Agency school in the Nuseirat area of central Gaza. Speaking at a press conference in Tel Aviv on Thursday, Mensa emphasized that the school was carefully targeted and hit with precision. He adds that the strike, which took place just before 2 a.m., successfully eliminated several militants.
Last night, a Hamas compound embedded inside an UNRWA school. A Hamas compound embedded inside an UNRWA school in the area of Nuseirat was precisely targeted and hit. The school had terrorists who actually took part in the murderous attack of October the 7th. We took them out. 3 rooms in the school, in the building, were used by Hamas and Islamic Jihad terrorists. We assessed that 20 to 30 terrorists were in the compound at the time of the strike. We targeted with precision strikes on the specific classrooms, What we know, of course, we know that the terrorists were, what they were doing inside a UN school, they were hiding. The compound was used for staging attacks and as a forward operating base. Our strike was based on intelligence and used precise munitions, using surveillance and intelligence. You know, we actually called it off twice just to be sure that we were precise and to limit any unwanted civilian casualties.
NATO's top general, Christopher Cavoli, has called for increased production of military equipment, stating that while member nations are prepared to defend themselves, more arms are needed. Speaking as Allied Nations commemorates the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings, which marks the beginning of the liberation of France from Nazi occupation, General Cavoli focused on the ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine and the potential threat Moscow poses to NATO countries. General Cavoli highlighted the conflict in Ukraine, along with Kyiv's Western-backed defense, has underscored the immense demand for ammunition and military equipment in modern warfare. Despite this, he notes that defense manufacturers must be faster to scale up the production of essential items such as artillery, shells, vehicles, and drones.
The equipment, yeah, we need to build more. We need to expand our industrial base, and we need to be able to generate hardware more quickly. I think all the nations in the alliance realize that, and all are working on it. Yes, all the nations in the alliance are studying very carefully what's going on in Ukraine, right? We're trying to learn from it. And then NATO, as an alliance, is also studying it. So we are actually setting up a joint analysis and sort of a lessons learned center with the Ukrainians. It's going to be in Poland. And we're going to take a very deliberate effort to study everything about the conflict so that we can develop from affection of the local people in Normandy for the soldiers who are buried here is remarkable, and we're filled with gratitude for it, and I'm inspired by it every day. It's just a living example of U.S.-French friendship, and also the way an alliance comes together and not only fights a war, but stays.
British King Charles III has urged nations to stand against tyranny during a D-Day commemoration in France on Thursday. Marking the 80th anniversary of the pivotal Allied landings in Normandy, the king spoke in the French town of Vesoul, honoring the bravery and sacrifice that changed the world, the course of World War II. King Charles paid a tribute to the fallen Allied soldiers, the French civilians who lost their lives, and the courageous members of the French resistance. Reflecting on his experiences, he expressed honor in having met many veterans over the years and listening to their stories firsthand.
very many of them never came home. They lost their lives on the D-Day landing grounds or in the many battles that followed. It is with the most profound sense of gratitude that we remember them and all those who served at that critical time. We recall the lesson that comes to us again and again across the decades. Three nations.
The Organized Private Sector, OPS, in Nigeria has expressed concern with Labour's demand and hardline stance. It said the demand by Labour at this time had the potential to cripple small and medium enterprises, SMEs, and push many other businesses into comatose. Reacting to the deadlock, spokesperson for the OPS at the ongoing negotiation for a new minimum wage, Adewale Smart Oyeride, said the offer to pay 60,000 naira, which is a 100% increase in the national minimum wage, was sacrificial on the part of the OPS. And joining me on the news to talk about this is Comrade Prince Saviour Iche, President, Association of Micro Entrepreneurs of Nigeria. Good evening. Glad to have you join me.
Thank you, my sister. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Let me kick off by asking what your impression is of the strike by Labour. Well, now relax as negotiations are ongoing. What's your impression of the strike to start with?
The strike is not the best option. The reason is because Nigerians are really going a lot. So adding strike to it, will make the Nigerians, make the problem that the masses are facing, to be more. So as it is now, as the Labour have lapsed the strike, and I pray that the government should listen to the yearning and the inspiration of the workers, so that that Nigerians will not go into another more challenges compared to what we are facing already.
Now, organized private sector agrees with 60,000 naira, and now we have both the government and also organized labor, reaching a consensus as negotiations are ongoing. Which side are you on, the government or labor?
I'm always at the side of the both. The labor and also the government. Actually, the laborers are fighting for their rights. Coming to the situation of things now, in the country, the proposal or the government proposal will not be, that will not be that adequate to the workers, because things are really essential commodities are really is very exorbitant. So 60,000 cannot be able to solve any problem presently in Nigeria, because considering the fact that the workers, they have children that's in school, they pay house rent and other things. So 60,000 naira will not be able to to do anything for them. My appeal to the government that they should do more, so that because presently we all know that things are very exorbitant.
Well, all eyes and ears are on the negotiation table. Fingers crossed as Labour and the governments are trying to agree on a workable amount for the new minimum wage. Thank you so much for your time on the news. Prince Saviour Iche, President, Association of Micro Entrepreneurs of Nigeria. Thank you once again.
Thanks for having me.
And now to sports stories. The Bafana of South Africa have landed in Uyo, Akwa Ibom, ahead of the 2026 World Cup qualification match against Nigeria on Friday. The Africa Cup of Nations AFCON bronze medalists arrived at the Victor Atta International Airport in the city on Thursday morning. The South African contingent was greeted by a downpour as they offloaded their baggage and headed to their hotel. The Bafana's arrival came a few hours after the team announced that the players had reached Nigeria on Wednesday evening, but were stranded at the Port Harcourt International Airport. And our correspondent, Onyenye Obaro, who is live in Uyo, joins us to talk about this. Good evening, Onyenye. Glad to have you join me on the news. We hear the Bafana of South Africa have arrived Uyo ahead of the match against Super Eagles of Nigeria. How have they settled in?
Good evening, Adebola. It's wonderful to talk to you and join you on the news. We are back here at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo, this time around, not outside the premises, but inside the premises, because we have the South African senior men's national team training at the moment behind closed doors. Yes, they did arrive at the early hours of this morning, as at 9 a.m. It was wet this morning, so they arrived in the rain and had to settle, preparing for the pre-match press conference and their training, their first training at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium, the TOF, the main ball over here. Now, we had the pre-match press conference with the South Africans coming in first. Coach Hugo Broos was with Percy Tau, who is the captain also of the team. Questions asked, Coach Hugo Broos, he downplayed the fact that they would be affected by any gimmicks, the alleged gimmicks from the Nigerian team. He says that they are not intimidated. What happened at the AFCON stays at the AFCON, and this is the 2026 World Cup qualifier. It's a different ball game, and he's ready to go all out against the Nigerians. For Percy Tau, he has been able to rule out that conversations around injuries in the team. We did hear about the coach being worried about 6 players from Mamelodi Sundowns being injured, so Percy Tau ruled out the fact that that will really affect the team. They are ready to come out against the Super Eagles of Nigeria under a different situation, which is the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. For Nigeria, early into the pre-match press conference is the coach of the side, Finidi George, accompanied by Kelechi Iheanacho and Wilfred Ndidi.
If
so
I
the
may,
Nigerians had 2 players with the coach.
If I may just
ask the coach, he downplayed the fact that the NLC strike had affected the players. He says nothing like that has affected them. The only thing about the NLC strike is the delayed arrival of Alex Iwobi and Ademola Lookman.
Just to quickly come in there, Onyenye.
They're ready to come all out and also play the game with the home advantage.
Yes, if I may ask, Onyenye, with the team arriving on Thursday and the match day being Friday, do you think they have adequate preparation time ahead of the clash?
If you're talking about the Bafana, only one training, that's what they will get before match day. And maybe that's the reason why they have it behind closed doors. They do not want any journalists filming at this time. So they will only get to train once on the TOF. Tomorrow get to feel the TOF, have the walkout before the match at 8 p.m. Yes, that match at 8 p.m., a lot a bit concerned that it's a bit late. But we spoke to a member of the Football Association from Akwa Ibom and the board. He says that the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium has got the great facility to host this match, even at late night. You will never even notice that it is late at night. So the lights are in good condition. Of course, the stadium, as I did give a credence the other time, is also in good condition. I must give big ups to those maintaining the stadium. So South Africans will only have this closed-door training. And the coaches downplaying the fact that this can affect them, having to train only once here in Nigeria.
Well, Onyenye,
we'll be crossing our fingers, hoping that whatever happens, it will be this home team. Being patriotic here, Nigeria gets the upper hand against them.
Absolutely, Onyenye. I can't help but wish and hope Nigeria comes out, the winner against this match with Bafana of South Africa. But thank you so much for your time on the news, Onyenye Obaro, who is live in Uyo. Thank you once again. And that's all on the news. But before we go, let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Finance Minister submits cost analysis on new minimum wage to President Tinubu. Court fixes June 13 for ruling on jurisdiction over Kano Emirates crisis. Media watchdog urges Senegal to promote press freedom. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen and follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adejuba.